Ross Coulthart just tweeted something out on the 29th of this month of July. What he tweeted out is actually kind of incredible. He tweeted out a video that was done by Whispers from Space, and there's some commentary here. Richard Banduric about UFO materials. Now, Richard Banduric was an ex-employee, allegedly, at Lockheed Martin, NASA, ULA, and DARPA. So his credentials are extraordinary, right? You know, he makes some astonishing claims in this commentary. So let me set the stage for you. Then we'll let this play, and I'm going to interrupt as we're going through it, because a lot of his claims are speculative, and there's no hard evidence of anything here. And I'm not saying that anything he's saying is untrue or factual. I'm just saying that take a lot of what you hear here with a grain of salt. A lot of this may be factual, but then a lot of it may not. Okay, so let me set the stage for you. Richard makes claims on these metamaterials cloaking themselves. They become invisible or undetectable. They can reconfigure themselves and self-repair. They can disintegrate if tampered with, especially in the wrong hands. And they consist of nanoscale particles that communicate with each other. So these are some astonishing claims. Now let me play you the commentary of which he talked about this particular technology and how he believes that it's not just decades ahead of us, but it is hundreds and hundreds of years ahead of us. And I hope you enjoy.
They were smart materials. Like, one of the things is when these materials, you'd be looking at them and you try and reverse engineer them, that they would turn to dust. And they would do it within a minute or two. And then so you could take the dust and then send it off and get the isotopic analysis done on them. And they were extraterrestrial. But these materials, I mean, we're looking at something that's hundreds of years ahead of us. When you look under a microscope, or an electron microscope, you're looking at something that's composed of very small particles that seem to be communicating with one another.
All right. Now, he says that they seem to be communicating with each other at a microscopic scale. I want you to hear just a little bit further past this, and I want to play you a video of something that may kind of corroborate what he's saying. So he started out saying that this material disintegrates into just disintegrates, right? If we tamper with it, we try to recreate it, it does the same thing. And now he's saying that they communicate with each other. Okay.
So those are the things that I've been involved in that we can talk about, but I think that's one of the reasons why extraterrestrial materials are not really available to most people, is because most of them are set to disintegrate if they get in the wrong hand. Isotopic analysis of the dust that's left behind tells you it's extraterrestrial, at least where it was manufactured. But so we're looking at materials that can reconfigure themselves. They are composed of small subunits. So the type.
So right there, he says we're looking at a substance that can recreate itself at a microscopic level, right? So it can disintegrate and it can recreate itself. So can it repair itself? Now, I did a video a while back talking about a ship a gentleman had witnessed, and he was with the military, had witnessed a craft UFO that had been hit with a missile, and the craft was actually repairing itself. So this may corroborate a little bit of what this person is saying here, that maybe adds a little bit of validity to what he's saying.
Exactly. Oh, well, no, but I've had they were all colonels or lieutenant colonels, my friends, and I have for example, I was with 6 people one night, 6 witnesses. We had 3 very expensive cameras, and none of them worked. None of them would focus. But there was a craft on the ground being repaired, and there were lights flying around it. And
who was repairing it?
Well, the lights were. We all saw it. We had binoculars. We watched it. It was only about a quarter of a mile away, and the light. It looked like it had been. At 5 o'clock, the disc. It looked like it had been. We thought it had been hit by a missile. So anyway, these lights were repairing it. So a friend of mine went down there, and it got within. His high beams got on it. He had a 4-wheel drive. So it started to pulse. And these UFOs, when they start to pulse, they're getting ready to shoot. I've had it happen many times, long story. But a friend of mine is an Air Force colonel, and I said, Ron, what do you think? And he said, it wasn't one of ours. If it was, there would be attack helicopters all around it and guys on the ground with machine guns.
So you're telling me that you're in touch with people in the military,
Yes,
who actually know
they're all retired now.
Because this is an allegation that a former intelligence officer, David Grush, only made in 2023.
Yeah, right.
That the US is in possession of non-human technology.
Yeah.
The things I looked at were there's something as small as a sliver of metal. The head would reconfigure itself depending on where it was. It would cloak itself and it would try to blend into the environment. So the ones that this one NGO used to get a hold of were the ones that were technically broken. I guess the ones that didn't really function very well. So then you could collect them every once in a while and then try to analyze them. You could do things like split them apart. They would attempt to find each other or reconfigure. Some of the experiments they did was we took one of those and we put it on a very hot surface of about 3,000 degrees. And what it would do is it cooled the surface around itself. And then when we took the device off and then waited again, we would find that the mass would be reduced by a certain amount.
Do these feel like program materials to you, Richard?
Yeah, they were, like I was saying, they're more intelligent materials. Like these subunits probably were.
The craziest thing is what he's describing is that it almost seems like it's alive, right? Like it's sentient. It wants it knows it's hot, so it's trying to cool itself down. Or it's the strangest thing.
Were pretty had computational functionality, right? Because they knew what their neighbors were all about, and they knew they could reprogram themselves to be something different, right? If they needed to change themselves. So these are really curious types of materials. So that's how we could kind of tell they were extraterrestrial, because these things weren't like decades ahead of us. They were probably hundreds of years ahead of us.
All right. So like I said in the video, it almost appears like they're sentient, like they're alive. They're reacting to their environment. They're reacting to threat. They're reacting to being separated from one another, right? Because they'll cut one piece in half and put that over here and the other piece over here. So it is an interesting take on UFO technology, exotic materials. And then that video that I played you with, let's see. So this, what I'm comparing it to is the case of the Bradshaw Ranch is what I'm comparing it to. And the fact that the statement that he made is that the ship is repairing itself. So there was like these little orbs floating around and it was actually repairing the ship. But could all that be one and the same? Could that Bradshaw event correlate to what Richard here is saying, Banduric? Could it all be the same thing? Could it all just mesh together? Very interesting tweet that I'm drawing a blank here. Interesting tweet that Ross Coulthart have put out of Richard here and his statement on what he thinks is going on with the metamaterial, because he worked at Lockheed Martin, NASA, ULA, and DARPA. So he's been at a very high level for a long time, and he's seen and worked on these particular objects, this so-called exotic material. Let me know down below what you guys think. Do you think the Bradshaw event has anything to do with what Richard is talking about? Do you think they kind of coincide with each other? Is it the same thing? This one over here is repairing itself. This one over here almost seems sentient. What's going on, right? What in the hell is going on? This rabbit hole just keeps getting deeper and deeper and deeper. Let me know what you guys think. You guys like, subscribe, and follow, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.